My God, you are a quiet crowd. Normally I get heckled on this bit, but no. Okay? Tobes? So now we're going to go through, you've heard all the great stuff about how we've embedded all these features, but what realistically does it do and how does it look? So I'm going to go over to Antonio to discuss this.
Yeah, just before passing it to Toby, just wanted to show, you've seen Android for Work, Android Enterprise, all the latest capabilities that we have launched across the whole ecosystem, working with all the different EMM partners, different manufacturers and so on, in order to bring this to the market. Just wanted to highlight, we're working very close with Soti, obviously. They're validated all the different solutions for Android, whether it's Work Profile, Work Managed Device, or what we call COSU, the Corporate-Owned Single-Use Device. So they're validated means that they have gone through all the requirements Google has, and there is a website where you can see all the different EMM partners, and actually I believe that for the COSU, Soti is one of, if not the only one of the few that is out there. So it's working quite close and very close together, both technical teams, to make sure that they validate all the different features within Android Enterprise. And also for they already support this new feature on Zero Touch, which is coming with Android Oreo. So it's something that we've been working before even announcing to the market. So what Toby's going to show is the combination of these capabilities that come from Android within implemented within the Soti environment and the Soti solution on Zebra devices.
Hello everybody, how are we all doing? My name's Toby Sansome, I'm from Soti. I do feel a little bit stood behind this, like I'm Trump, about to make a proclamation to the great American nation that surely isn't going to bring about World War III. But yeah, enough about that. Soti, who are we? So for the benefit of those in the room who've never come across us, we've been around now for about 20 years within the EMM space, which is actually a lifetime in this industry. Many of our major competitors haven't even reached a decade, let alone 2. Additionally, through our 2,000 plus partners worldwide, we now manage 17,000 customers' estates of mobile devices, and every second of every day they rely on us to manage their hardware. We're a Canadian company with a global footprint. Our HQ is based out of Toronto. We've got a research lab down in Waterloo. I'm actually based out of the UK, which is our European office, and then we have satellite operations out of India, Abu Dhabi, where else? Germany and Sweden as well. So we have feet on the ground in pretty much every country within the world, which is fantastic. Additionally, we are multilingual, so when our customers do need our support, they can get that in the language that they prefer as well, which is a really nice thing. And we're a big believer in following the sun. So if you're up, we're up, which means you have any issues or any problems, you can pick up a phone and you can talk to an individual and get the support you need right there and then. So it's something that we're very proud of. And the one thing that Gartner, or not the one thing, but one of the things that Gartner really highly recommend us for is our customer support. So I just want to kind of talk a little bit around why Soti and where it all links in with Zebra and Google. So as you saw earlier, Android is growing rapidly, and it's the obvious choice when choosing to replace Windows legacy devices. We've been at the forefront of that revolution for a long, long time now. In fact, our CEO, when he saw the first Android devices, went, this is the future. I have to be able to manage this in my EMM tool for the future. So Carl went away, and over 8 years ago, he developed our Android management capabilities. Our competitors have since followed suit. They've followed our initial lead, but as is the case, because we've got on the bandwagon from the beginning, they're always playing catch up. Over those 8 years, we've continuously developed our management tool. We've not allowed ourselves to stand still. And that's led to the evolution of our class-leading technologies, including full remote control for Android and application deployment silently. Additionally, we have now moved forward and we're the first EMM to launch Android Enterprise support. Many of our competitors have now joined us, but again, we don't want to stand still. So I believe Antonio mentioned earlier about zero touch enrollment. We'll be the first EMM to launch with that from day one with full support. So we never want to stand still. We want to keep at the head of the curve, making sure that we're developing the right management tools so that you as customers can ensure that your hardware out there is secure, up to date, and being used in exactly the way you want it to be used. Additionally, where are we? It's really hard to see from here. Oh yeah, partnerships, solid partnerships. So our relationship with Google is incredibly strong. As I've just pointed out, we're at the front of the curve with all the technologies. We're also really proud of the fact that we are the only EMM currently to be verified for corporately owned single use, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. But additionally, we have a long-lasting relationship with Zebra. When Zebra wanted to pick an EMM to act as the backbone to their OVS solution, which Mark will talk about a little bit more on a few more slides ahead of me, we were the only choice. Why? Because we developed a really strong reputation for being the best at handling Android, and they wanted to leverage that. Additionally, we have really rich reporting abilities, and OVS is able to take full advantage of that to give you data in a way that's easy to understand and, more importantly, going to benefit your business. Together then, Zebra, Google and Soti make the perfect combination of partners to deliver a world-class solution for you. And best of all, Vision ID are in the best place to deliver that. And I promise you that's the last of my marketing spiel. So, as I've already mentioned, we are the first EMM to offer corporately owned single use. And we were first to market with Android Enterprise. So we've got a real expertise in this area, and the corporately owned single use is particularly our strong point. We are champions at that dedicated purpose, those mission critical situations. Additionally, as I've already mentioned, I'm stealing my own thunder here, we are going to have that zero touch enrollment from day one, which is huge because it's going to speed up the process of enrolling devices and getting them into the hands of employees, making them more efficient and more productive without all of the costly setup that usually goes with employing someone to sit there, turn on a device, type in an enrollment ID, etc. It's just going to speed that process up and make your employees get to it a lot faster. So, work profile management. You've heard it come up during this session. The key thing about Android Enterprise, the thing that we love and the reason why we were so keen to develop that and the reason why we see it as the future for our management tool is because of the fact that it gives you the flexibility to manage devices depending on the deployment that you need. So it doesn't matter whether it is going to be a single-use device, it doesn't matter whether it's going to be a corporately owned, business-only device. Whether it's an employee bringing in their own personal device for work purposes as well as personal, or you as a corporate providing them with a device and being fine with them to use that for personal. Android Enterprise gives you the flexibility to manage those for each different scenario. And where work profile comes in, this is really key when you are deploying corporate devices and allowing the employee to use that for personal, or vice versa, the employee wants to use their own personal device because they know the way it works, they like it, they just enjoy using it. It might be Samsung, whatever. There are massive advantages to allowing employees to bring in their own device, and also massive advantages to providing them with a corporate device that they're allowed to do personal activity on. But there are also some massive disadvantages. One of the major issues with BYOD and corporately owned personal enabled devices is applications creating a security leak. Why? Because in the background, employees are downloading whatever it may be. It could be Angry Birds, it could be Instagram, and you have sensitive corporate data on that device. The last thing you want is for that data to get out there. Now, it may not be done on purpose. We're not saying that every employee under the sun is leaking all your personal data and all your corporate data, but accidentally it could be that they create a backdoor. The beauty of Work Profile is that it creates a workspace where you can manage what's inside it and whether it has communication with outside of said workspace. Where Soti comes into this, so Android provides that within the Android Enterprise. Manufacturers like Zebra provide it on their hardware, and where we come in is giving you the ability to configure that. So how many people here have a Wi-Fi password at the office? And how many of you have then given that Wi-Fi password out? Probably all of us. What's the number one issue with that? The bandwidth gets absolutely rinsed because every Tom, Dick and Harry has about 15 different devices connected to it. Someone's downloading the latest series of Game of Thrones, someone else is playing some kind of war game, and before you know it, no one's actually doing any corporate work because the Wi-Fi's absolutely throttled back. So the beauty of Work Profile with Soti is we can actually provision a Wi-Fi for that workspace and only allow it to be used for corporate data, ensuring that your Wi-Fi is used properly and that not every Tom, Dick and Harry is rinsing it. Additionally, you control the data within that workspace, so you can decide whether an employee has cut, copy or paste through Mobi Control, preventing it from being leaked from someone taking it out of the workspace, pasting it into a personal email account and forwarding it on. And additionally, when that employee leaves the business, if it is their own device, you have the ability to wipe the work data and the work data only. This covers you from any form of liability if you were to accidentally wipe the entire device, because you physically can't through Mobi Control, you can only wipe that workspace. What about managed device? So managed device is our area of expertise, and it comes in two kind of flavours. We've got what we call internally COBO, so corporately owned business only, but also COSU, so corporately owned single use. So what's the difference? So a classic example of COBO might be your delivery driver. He has a Zebra TC56, and the number one priority is being able to scan the barcode, get the customer to sign, type in your name to say you've accepted the parcel. But when he walks back to his van, he also needs to maybe have access to the sat-nav, maybe have access to calls, maybe have access to email to get updates from the office, and perhaps a file container that has HR documents in it, guidelines on when to take breaks, etc. But you don't necessarily want that individual to have access to every tiny little bit of Android. That's what we consider as COBO, and we can manage that through Mobi Control. So we can say, this device or this group of devices or all of our devices can have access to these applications, these features, and that's it. Corporately owned single use is really kind of those dedicated purposes. So it could be that same device, TC56, I am at my local supermarket and the supermarket wants to allow me as the customer to go around scanning my goods. So when I get to the till, all I have to do is type in the total and pay. Now, obviously, understandably, there's a potential for all sorts of risk, allowing that into a customer's hand completely unlocked and unsupervised. So what we can do through Mobi Control, again, leveraging Android Enterprise, is restrict that to the application that allows the customer to go around scanning their goods and then pay at the end. And that's it. They can't turn the Wi-Fi off. They can't go on the internet. They can't access anything else. And additionally, we can actually customize that lockdown specifically to be branded. So for instance, it could be Audi, just as an example, and it would be Audi branded. It would look and feel like they had their own operating system. It's fully customizable. So we can see that it doesn't matter what type of deployment you want to achieve, through Android Enterprise, managed by Soti, delivered on Zebra hardware, you can have the right solution for your needs. Everyone happy with that? Cool. So next up, I just want to talk a little bit about how we have strengths specifically with Zebra. So again, Mark's going to talk a little bit more about OVS in a few minutes, but long story short, OVS takes our EMM and it builds on top of that to not only give you the day-to-day EMM tools you need, but as I mentioned earlier, analytics that help you make great business decisions going forward. And the reason why we were chosen and leveraged was, as mentioned already, we can pull loads of different bits of data from the device. Additionally, we can support Zebra Stage Now, and I know it's been touched on a little bit so far, but just long story short, think of Zebra Stage Now, Android Enterprise, and Soti together as almost like the Ferrari of mobility. And the reason I say that is because with Stage Now, we can toggle all sorts of different settings. We can provision that remotely, and we can change that on the fly, any situation, so you can adapt your hardware to the situation that it's going to be deployed in. So a classic example is, it could be you don't want the Wi-Fi sleep to activate on the device because you're concerned about once the device turns into screensaver mode, it's not connected. Through the Zebra MX, you can toggle that setting, push it down through Mobi Control, and have that working within seconds. And as you've also heard, Lifeguard, one of the key things is to always be on the latest version. Now, as we said, this isn't forced upon you, but what Mobi Control allows you to do is control how and when that is delivered. So if you want to validate, you can push that update to a specific set of devices just to test it out. And once you're happy, you can then push that out across your wider estate. The beauty of it is you have control over when and what time and how. So you want to make sure that it's not being done in the middle of the day, preventing workers from working. You want it to happen overnight while the device is connected to Wi-Fi, for instance.